In the cold morning of Washington, D.C., CIA agent Jack Falcon Mitchell was looking out from his bureau window. In 10 years of service, he had completed many dangerous missions, but today was different. On his desk was a red file, Project Shadowfall. "Jack, you need to read this quickly," his chief said. "Something is wrong at our largest nuclear facility." Falcon opened the file and his eyes widened. According to the report, strange security breaches were occurring at the Nuclear Research Center in Nevada. The most shocking thing was the suspect's DNA was human, but their abilities were extraordinary. "What does this mean, sir?" Falcon asked. "We suspect that an alien species has infiltrated our system in human form. And this is not just any alien, but a hybrid that looks like us." Falcon's fists tightened. America's security, the future of humanity, everything was at stake. Upon reaching Nevada, Falcon realized the case was more complex than he thought. The facility's security chief David Chin was showing him around, but Falcon found something strange in his behavior. "We have recorded 3 strange incidents," David informed. "Last month, some systems shut down on their own, then turned back on. We found no explanation." Falcon started taking notes, but his mind was elsewhere. Was David hiding something? Was he also part of this conspiracy? At night, Falcon opened his laptop in his room and tried to hack into the facility's system. He found some encrypted files coming from an unknown source. When he tried to decrypt them, his computer short-circuited. Moments later, there was a knock on his door. Falcon picked up his pistol and slowly opened the door. Outside stood the facility's security team. "Mitchell, you need to come with us," the security officer said. "What's the matter?" Falcon asked. "You are accused of unauthorized access to the system." Falcon realized he was trapped in a web. Someone wanted to frame him. Falcon thought that if he stayed here, he would be killed. Using his training, he deceived the security team and escaped. Outside the facility, he stole a car and fled toward the city. 3 cars were chasing him from behind. The darkness of the night was helping him. Falcon turned his car under a bridge and entered a narrow alley. The 2 cars behind him collided, but the 3rd car was still behind him. Falcon suddenly stopped his car, got out, and pulled out his pistol. When the 2nd car approached him, he shot the tire. The car went out of control and hit a tree. Falcon saw that there were 3 people in the car, but one of them got out and started running. Falcon chased him and cornered him in an empty warehouse. "Who are you?" Falcon asked. The person raised his face, and Falcon was shocked. He was his fellow agent, Mark Rivera. "Mark, what are you doing here?" "You want to understand, Falcon," Mark said. "This is good for humanity." "What's good?" "Handing over our nuclear facility to aliens." Mark laughed and said, "These aren't just aliens. These are our future. Our next evolution." Falcon realized this wasn't just a simple alien infiltration, but something deeper. Falcon captured Mark and took him to a secure location. There, he interrogated Mark. "Tell the truth, Mark. What is going on?" Mark finally decided to give in. "A few years ago, we received a signal. It was coming from outer space. When we decoded it, we found out it was from an alien species that wanted to create a new species by combining with humans. And our government is involved in this." Falcon asked. "Some people are," Mark said. "They believe this is the next step for humanity. But some people like me and you oppose it." Falcon realized he was caught in a big conspiracy. He couldn't trust his government, his agency, or even his colleagues. "I need the names of the people involved," Falcon said. Mark gave him a list, and Falcon's heart broke. On that list were many of his senior officers, and even his chief. In a secret bunker in Washington, Falcon placed the list in front of his superior, General Marcus Thorne. The room fell silent. Thorne's face was expressionless, like stone, but there was fire in his eyes. "This is just the beginning, Jack," Thorne finally spoke. "These hybrids and this conspiracy. Its roots are not on Earth. We have intelligence that the entire Operation's headquarters is on a distant planet, Xylos. Falcon's eyebrows furrowed. Xylos. The same place from where the first signal came. Yes, Thorne said. They don't just want to give us a new species, they want to take our nuclear weapons hostage to control all of humanity. And for this, they have planted traitors among us. Your mission has now changed. You will go to Xylos. You need to uncover the conspiracy there, find their main leader, and destroy their operation from its roots. Falcon was once again entering unfamiliar territory, but this time the enemy was not like his own. He was given a new team, 1, Dr. Eris Thorne, a brilliant scientist and tech expert, skilled in understanding and hacking alien technology. 2, Lena Petrova, a brave pilot and heavy weapons expert, whose hobbies included making explosions. One night, boarding a secret spacecraft Odyssey, the team headed toward Xylos. When their spacecraft entered Xylos' atmosphere, they saw that the planet's sky was purple and 2 suns were shining in the sky, one hot and bright, the other cold and dim. There are some toxic gases in the atmosphere, Lena warned. We need to wear full armor before going out. They landed their spacecraft in a remote, desert area. As soon as they stepped out, they felt a strange sensation. There was an invisible hum in the air, and the ground was vibrating slightly under their feet. In the distance, tall towers made of crystal were shining, scattering rainbow colors in the sunlight. This was the alien architecture they had been warned about. Look ahead, Eris said, pointing to his scanner. This city. It's alive. These buildings aren't just buildings, they're energy reservoirs. Falcon looked at the city with his binoculars. Thin, tall, and shiny-skinned looking humanoids were walking on the streets. They seemed calm and disciplined, but there was a strange robotic quality to their movements. These are the Xylonians, Falcon said. And we need to infiltrate among them. The team disguised themselves as Xylonians with the help of holographic projectors. This was risky, as one mistake could expose them. They entered the city, where everything was vibrating to an odd tune. The crystalline buildings were emitting a low-frequency sound, as if they were talking to each other. This could be their communication network, Eris whispered. They might be telepathically connected. Soon they realized that Xylonian society was divided into several classes. On one side were the enforcers, the security force, who enforced strict laws and watched everyone. Their uniforms were shiny and intimidating. On the other side was the syndicate, an underworld gang that dealt in illegal technology and information. The team's first target was to reach a main data hub in the center of the city. But reaching there was impossible. Enforcers were everywhere and checking everyone. We can't go directly, Lena said. We need someone's help. And on this planet, seeking help from the most dangerous person might be the safest route. Falcon pointed toward a dark alley where syndicate members could be seen. Falcon's team contacted a local syndicate leader, Kel. Kel was a cunning and ruthless Xylonian, with a different kind of sparkle in his eyes. He initially didn't want to trust them, but when Falcon offered him a sample of rare Earth technology, his interest was piqued. What you have is impossible here, Kel said. Fine, I'll help you. But you'll have to pay the price. The deal was made. Falcon's team had to attack a rival gang's warehouse for the syndicate, and in return, Kel would give them a map of the city's underground tunnels that led to the data hub. This was a dangerous game. In the darkness of the night, the team attacked the warehouse. Lena's explosions blew the warehouse doors, and Falcon and Eris quickly stole the necessary items. But the enforcers also arrived, and a fierce battle began. Falcon used his human experience. The Xylonian warriors were disciplined and predictable, but Falcon was unpredictable. He climbed walls, attacked from hiding, and overturned the Xylonian strategy. His irregular style confused the enforcers. They barely escaped, but they got the map from Kel. Now they had a way to reach the data hub. The tunnels were dark and scary. A strange liquid was dripping from the walls, and the air smelled of wet mud. Finally, they reached just below the data hub. Eris set up his device and started decrypting the data. Files began to open, and the secrets hidden within shipped them. This is not just a conspiracy, Eris said with a choked voice. This is a life-saving program. According to the data, the Xylonian species was on the verge of extinction. Their genetic code had become so stable that they were unable to reproduce. They saw human DNA as the only hope, a code that was chaotic, adaptable, and vibrant. They don't want to destroy us, Falcon understood. They want to combine with us to create a new species so they can survive. But the price will be our freedom, Lena said. Suddenly, another revelation came. The main orchestrator of this entire project was none other than the most senior member of the Xylonian Council, Counselor Vrex. And his main human collaborator was none other than Falcon's own chief, General Marcus Thorne. Falcon was shocked. The person he had trusted was the biggest traitor. At the same time, Kel contacted them. I knew you were looking for something like this. Counselor Vrex's plan will erase our culture. I oppose him, not you. Now Falcon had an unexpected ally. Now the team had two options, either destroy the Xylonian laboratory, which would cause their species to go extinct, or find a third way. We want to destroy it, Falcon decided. We'll show them the truth. We'll tell them that cooperation instead of force can lead to a better future. The new mission was to hack Counselor Vrex's message and broadcast it across the entire Xylonian planet. This seemed suicidal, but it was the only way. Lena set off explosions at the edge of the city to create a diversion. Eris got busy hacking the central broadcast tower. And Falcon, with Kel's help, reached the council chamber. Counselor Vrex was sitting in a huge, magnificent room. When Falcon knocked, Vrex tried to stop him with his telepathic powers. Waves of chaos and fear ran through Falcon's mind. You humans are weak, Vrex said in his mind. Your emotions are your weakness. But Falcon didn't give up. He made his humanity his weapon. Memories of his family, his love for his country, his loyalty to his colleagues, and his unwavering hope for humanity began to play in his mind. This storm of emotions was so powerful that it was impossible for Vrex's controlled mind to comprehend. No, Falcon replied. These are not our weaknesses, but our strengths. We make mistakes, we learn, and we rise again. We want to live, but we let others live too. This is humanity. Meanwhile, Eris had successfully started the broadcast. Counselor Vrex's entire truth, his nefarious plan, and Falcon's message began to echo across the planet. Chaos erupted in the Xylonian city. But this was not the noise of anger, but the beginning of a new way of thinking. With Kel's help, the team barely escaped from Xylos. As they were returning to Earth aboard the Odyssey, they knew they had not only saved their world but had also given a new direction to an entire alien civilization. Upon returning to Earth, General Thorne and his collaborators were arrested. Falcon and his team were honored by the president. But for Falcon, the biggest victory was not this. He was looking out from his office window, and in his mind was the shining purple sky of Xylos. He had not only proven that humanity could survive, but also that humanity's greatest weapon is its compassion, its adaptability, and its unwavering spirit. We are humans, he said to himself. We make mistakes, but we also improve. And this is our greatest strength. And with this, Falcon had once again proven why humanity prevails. The days following the team's return to Earth were filled with debriefings, celebrations, and a sense of uneasy peace. The world had been saved, but the knowledge of what lay beyond the stars had fundamentally changed everything. Falcon found himself in a series of high-level meetings, explaining the Xylonian situation to government officials who struggled to comprehend the reality of alien life. The revelation that humanity wasn't alone, and that other species were facing extinction, sent shockwaves through the highest echelons of power. The question now, said the Secretary of Defense during one such meeting, is how we move forward. Do we maintain secrecy? Do we prepare for potential threats? Do we extend an olive branch? Falcon looked around the room at the faces of men and women who had spent their careers dealing with terrestrial threats. They were out of their depth, and they knew it. "We need to establish a new division," Falcon said. "One dedicated to extraterrestrial relations and defense. We can't keep treating this like a standard intelligence operation." "And who would lead this division?" the president asked, leaning forward with interest. Before Falcon could respond, Eris stepped forward. "With all due respect, Mr. President, Jack has been through enough. He has saved the world twice now. Let him have some peace." Falcon shot Eris a grateful look. The scientist had become more than just a team member. He had become a friend who understood the weight of what Falcon carried. "I'll do it," Falcon said, surprising everyone including himself. "But not alone. I want Eris and Lena with me. And I want to establish contact with the Xylonians again to see how they're progressing." The president nodded slowly. "We'll consider it. In the meantime, all of you deserve some rest." A week later, Falcon found himself sitting on a bench overlooking the Potomac River. The cherry blossoms were in full bloom, their pink petals floating gently on the breeze. It was a scene of perfect peace, a stark contrast to the chaos he had recently experienced. Lena joined him, sitting down with a heavy sigh. "Never thought I'd miss the smell of alien swamps," she said with a wry smile. Falcon chuckled. "How are you adjusting?" "Better than expected. Though I keep looking at the sky, expecting to see two suns." They sat in comfortable silence for a while, watching the boats drift by on the river. "Do you ever wonder what would have happened if we had destroyed their lab?" Lena asked suddenly. Falcon considered this. "Every day. But I keep coming back to the same conclusion, that would have made us no better than those who wanted to destroy us." Lena nodded. "Still, it's a heavy responsibility, deciding the fate of an entire species." "We didn't decide their fate," Falcon corrected gently. "We gave them a choice. That's all any of us can hope for." Eris approached them, holding a tablet. "Speaking of choices," he said, "I've been analyzing the data we brought back. There is something you should see." He handed the tablet to Falcon, who swiped through several screens of complex diagrams and data streams. "What am I looking at?" Falcon asked. "Genetic markers," Eris explained. "The Xylonians weren't entirely honest with us. Their DNA isn't just stable, it's been artificially stabilized. Someone engineered their infertility." Falcon and Lena exchanged shocked looks. "Who would do that?" Falcon asked. "I don't know," Eris admitted. "But I have a theory. What if there is another species out there, one that sees the Xylonians as a threat? One that is systematically eliminating potential rivals?" The implications of Eris' theory hung in the air, chilling them despite the warm spring day. "We need to go back," Falcon said, his voice firm. "We can't," Lena countered. "The president ordered us to stand down." "Then we'll find another way," Falcon replied, his determination unwavering. Humanity's future might depend on it. 3 months later, the Extraterrestrial Relations Division, ERD, was officially established. Falcon, as expected, was appointed as its director, with Eris as chief science officer and Lena as head of security operations. Their headquarters was a refurbished underground facility in Nevada, not far from the nuclear research center where the entire adventure had begun. The irony wasn't lost on them. The team had grown considerably. Scientists, linguists, engineers, and former military personnel from around the world had joined their ranks, all united by a common purpose, to prepare humanity for its place in a much larger universe. One afternoon, as Falcon was reviewing personnel files, his assistant buzzed him. "Director, there is someone here to see you. Says he is an old friend." Falcon frowned, curious. He wasn't expecting anyone. "Send them in." The door opened, and Falcon was shocked to see Mark Rivera walk in. The last time he had seen Mark, he was being escorted to a maximum security facility for his role in the conspiracy. "Mark, what are you doing here?" Mark smiled, though it didn't reach his eyes. Good to see you too, Jack. I've been released. Released? How? Cooperation, Mark said simply. I provided information that helped dismantle the remaining elements of the conspiracy. In exchange, I got a reduced sentence and early parole. Falcon studied his former colleague, trying to read his intentions. Why are you here, Mark? I want to help, Mark said. I know things about the Xylonians, about other species. Information that could be valuable. Falcon was skeptical. After everything that happened, why should I trust you? Because you and I, we want the same thing, Mark replied. To protect humanity. We just had different ideas about how to do it. Falcon considered this. Mark had been wrong, but his motivations hadn't been entirely malicious. He had genuinely believed he was doing what was best for humanity's future. All right, Falcon said finally. We'll talk. But you'll be on probation. One wrong move, and you're out. Mark nodded, relief evident on his face. Fair enough. You won't regret this, Jack. I already do, Falcon muttered under his breath as Mark left his office. 6 months into their operation, the ERD had made significant progress. They had established protocols for potential first contact scenarios, developed advanced detection systems for extraterrestrial activity, and were even working on a spacecraft capable of interstellar travel. It was during a routine system check that the alarms suddenly blared. An unidentified object had entered Earth's atmosphere, moving at an impossible speed. It's not Xylonian, Eris said, studying the readings. The energy signature is completely different. Is it hostile? Falcon asked, already moving toward the command center. Unknown, Lena replied, her voice tense. It's changed course. It's heading directly for us. Within minutes, the object had landed in the desert near their facility. Falcon, Lena, and Eris approached cautiously, accompanied by a security team. The craft was unlike anything they had seen before. It wasn't metallic or crystalline, but seemed to be made of a substance that shifted and changed, like liquid smoke. As they watched, a ramp extended from the craft, and 3 figures emerged. They were tall and slender, with skin that seemed to absorb light rather than reflect it. Their faces were featureless, smooth surfaces that somehow conveyed an impression of ancient wisdom. One of the figures stepped forward. Though it had no mouth, Falcon heard a voice in his mind, clear and resonant. Greetings, Jack Mitchell. We have been observing your progress. Falcon's hand instinctively went to his weapon. Who are you? What do you want? We are the architects, the voice continued. As for what we want to help you avoid the mistakes of others. The architect gestured, and an image appeared in the air between them. It showed a planet, once beautiful and thriving, now barren and lifeless. This was the homeworld of the Xylonians, the architect explained. Before they brought about their own destruction. That is not what they told us, Eris said, stepping forward. They said they were facing extinction due to genetic instability. A partial truth, the architect acknowledged. Their genetic code was indeed failing, but not by chance. It was a consequence of their actions, of their attempts to control their own evolution. Falcon's mind was racing. You're the ones who stabilized their DNA, aren't you? You're the ones who made them infertile. The architect's featureless face seemed to focus on Falcon. We intervened to prevent a greater catastrophe. The Xylonians were not content with their own evolution. They sought to dominate and reshape all life in their image. We curbed their ambition by limiting their ability to reproduce. So you're playing God with entire species? Lena challenged, her hand resting on her weapon. We are preserving the balance, the architect replied calmly. A balance that your species now threatens to disrupt. What do you mean? Falcon asked. The Xylonians are not the only ones who have taken an interest in humanity, the architect explained. Others see your potential, your chaotic adaptability. Some wish to nurture it, others to exploit it, and still others to extinguish it before it can challenge them. The architect paused, letting this sink in. "We have come to offer you a choice," the voice continued. "Join us in maintaining the cosmic balance, or face the consequences of drawing the attention of those who do not share our restraint." The revelation left the ERD team reeling. The universe was far more complex and dangerous than they had imagined. The Xylonians weren't victims of natural processes but of cosmic intervention. "We need time to consider your offer," Falcon said, his voice steady despite the turmoil in his mind. "Time is a luxury you may not have," the architect replied. "But we will grant you a standard rotation of your planet. We expect your answer then." With that, the three figures returned to their craft, which silently lifted off and disappeared into the sky. The team gathered in the command center, the weight of the decision pressing down on them. "This changes everything," Eris said, pacing the room. "If what they're saying is true, we're not just dealing with one alien species but multiple factions, each with their own agenda. And they want us to pick a side," Lena added, her expression grim. "Become cosmic enforcers or face who knows what." Mark, who had been standing quietly in the corner, finally spoke up. "There's a third option." All eyes turned to him. "We don't have to join them or oppose them," Mark continued. "We can forge our own path. Humanity's strength has always been our ability to adapt, to find solutions that others miss." Falcon considered this. "What are you suggesting?" "That we neither accept nor reject their offer," Mark explained. "That we tell them we appreciate their concern but that humanity will determine its own destiny." "That's a risky gamble," Eris cautioned. "If these others the architect mentioned are as dangerous as they imply, we might need powerful allies. Or we might just be trading one set of masters for another," Lena countered. "I'm with Mark on this. Humanity's destiny should be in human hands." Falcon looked at his team, at the determination in their eyes. They had faced impossible odds before and come out on top. Maybe they could do it again. "All right," Falcon said, his decision made. "We'll prepare our response. But we'll also prepare for all contingencies. If these other factions are as dangerous as the architect claims, we need to be ready." The next day, when the architect's craft returned, Falcon stood alone to meet them. "We have considered your offer," Falcon said, projecting his thoughts as the architect had done. "And we respectfully decline." The architect's featureless face seemed to steady him. "You choose a difficult path." "We choose our own path," Falcon corrected. "Humanity will face whatever challenges come, on our own terms." The architect was silent for a long moment. "Very well. But know this, you have drawn the attention of powers beyond your comprehension. We will not intervene again." With that, the craft departed, leaving Falcon alone in the desert, facing an uncertain future. The months following the architect's visit were marked by a flurry of activity at the ERD. They accelerated their spacecraft development, enhanced their detection systems, and reached out to allies around the world, sharing what they had learned. The response was mixed. Some nations were eager to join their efforts, while others were skeptical or even hostile. The revelation that aliens existed and were taking an interest in Earth had shattered the geopolitical landscape. Meanwhile, strange phenomena began occurring around the world. Unexplained lights in the sky, mysterious crop circles, and reports of unusual encounters increased exponentially. It seemed the architect's warning had been prophetic. Humanity had indeed drawn the attention of other cosmic powers. Falcon found himself spending more and more time in the command center, coordinating responses to these incidents. Most were harmless, but some were more troubling. "We have another one," Eris said, pointing to a screen showing a remote area in Siberia. "Same energy signature as the last 3 incidents in South America, Africa, and Australia." "What's the pattern?" Falcon asked. "They're all in remote, sparsely populated areas," Eris explained. "And they're all near sites with significant mineral deposits." "Mineral deposits?" Lena asked, joining them. "What kind?" "Rare earth elements, mostly," Eris replied. The kind used in advanced technology. Falcon's expression grew serious. They're scouting. Testing our defenses, gathering resources. For what? Lena wondered. That question was answered 3 days later when a massive craft appeared over the Pacific Ocean. It was nothing like the Architect's ship or the Xylonian vessels. This was a warship, dark and menacing, bristling with what could only be weapons. Evaluate the area, Falcon ordered. Get our aircraft in the air. I want to know what that ship is capable of. As military jets approached the craft, it fired a beam of energy that disabled their electronic systems, sending them plummeting toward the ocean. Fortunately, the pilots were able to eject safely. Conventional weapons are useless, Eris said, his voice tight with concern. We need to try something else. Like what? Falcon asked, his mind racing. Like this, Eris replied, typing furiously on his console. A moment later, a high-frequency pulse emanated from their facility, aimed at the alien craft. The ship shuddered, its systems clearly disrupted. But it quickly recovered, turning its attention to their location. That was a mistake, Lena said, as alarms blared throughout the facility. Maybe not, Falcon replied, studying the readings. It affected them more than they're letting on. Their defenses aren't as strong as they appear. The alien ship fired another beam, this time aimed directly at them. But before it could reach its target, another craft appeared, intercepting the beam with a shield of energy. Falcon stared in disbelief as a Xylonian vessel materialized between them and the hostile ship. The appearance of the Xylonian ship created a tense standoff in the skies above the Pacific. The hostile craft, which Eris had dubbed harvesters due to their interest in mineral resources, faced off against the Xylonian vessel. Are they helping us? Lena asked, incredulous. Looks like it, Falcon replied, monitoring the situation. But I want to know why. A communication came through from the Xylonian ship. It was Counselor Vrix, the same leader who had once been their adversary. Falcon Mitchell, Vrix's voice resonated in their minds. We seem to have a common enemy. Vrix, Falcon acknowledged, surprised. I thought we were enemies. Our interests were once opposed, Vrix corrected. But the situation has evolved. The harvesters represent a threat to both our species. What do you want? Falcon asked, cautious. An alliance, Vrix proposed. Temporary, perhaps, but mutually beneficial. Together, we may drive them off. Separately, we will likely fall. Falcon consulted with his team. The prospect of allying with their former adversaries was unsettling, but the alternative was worse. We accept your offer, Falcon finally replied. But on our terms. Which are? Vrix inquired. Full transparency, Falcon said. No secrets, no hidden agendas. We share intelligence, strategies, and risks equally. There was a pause before Vrix responded. Agreed. The enemy of my enemy is my friend, for now. The alliance was formed, and together they developed a strategy to confront the harvesters. The Xylonians had advanced technology but limited numbers, while Earth had vast resources and personnel. By combining their strengths, they stood a chance. The battle that followed was intense and costly. The harvesters were powerful and relentless, but the combined forces of Earth and Xylos managed to hold their ground. Lena led Earth's defensive operations, while Falcon coordinated strategy from the command center. In the end, it was Eris who found the key to victory. By analyzing the Harvester's energy patterns, he discovered a vulnerability in their power systems. A precisely targeted frequency could overload their reactors, causing a chain reaction that would disable their ships. Working together, the Xylonian and Earth forces implemented this strategy. One by one, the Harvester ships were disabled, their crews escaping in smaller vessels before the main ships exploded. When the last Harvester ship was destroyed, a silence fell over the battlefield. They had won, but at a significant cost. Both Earth and Xylos had suffered losses, and the threat of more Harvesters loomed. In the aftermath of the battle, representatives from Earth and Xylos met to formalize their alliance and plan for future conflicts. The meeting took place on a neutral space station, donated by a third species who had observed the conflict and wished to support their efforts. The station was a marvel of alien engineering, with sections adapted for different atmospheric and gravitational requirements. Falcon found himself walking alongside Vrex through corridors that shifted and reconfigured to accommodate their different physiologies. "Your species fought well," Vrex said, breaking the silence. "Your adaptability in battle is impressive." "As is your technology," Falcon replied. "Without your ships, we would have been overwhelmed." "We make a good team," Vrex observed. "Perhaps this alliance should be more permanent." Falcon considered this. "Perhaps. But we need to address the issues that brought us into conflict originally." Vrex nodded slowly. "The matter of the hybrids. I understand your concern. Let me assure you, our intentions have evolved. We no longer seek to merge our species, but to coexist as equals." "That's a significant change," Falcon noted. "Your species taught us something," Vrex admitted. "The value of diversity, of different approaches to existence. We now see that our path toward genetic purity was a mistake." This admission surprised Falcon. He had expected resistance, not contrition. "What changed your mind?" Falcon asked. "Observing your team in action," Vrex replied. "The way you combined your different strengths, your willingness to sacrifice for one another. These are qualities we lost in our pursuit of perfection." Before Falcon could respond, an alarm sounded throughout the station. An urgent message came through from Earth's command center. Director Falcon, Eris's voice was tense. "We have a situation. Multiple ships approaching Earth. Not harvesters, not Xylonians. Something else entirely." Falcon and Vrex exchanged concerned looks. "We're on our way," Falcon replied. As they hurried back to their ships, Falcon couldn't shake the feeling that this was just the beginning. The universe was opening up, bringing with it wonders and dangers beyond imagination. The ships approaching Earth were unlike anything they had encountered before. There were at least a dozen different designs, suggesting multiple species, yet they moved in formation, indicating a unified purpose. "They're hailing us," Eris reported. "But the message is strange." On screen, Falcon ordered. A being appeared on the main screen. It was difficult to describe, seeming to shift between forms, never settling on a single appearance. Its voice, when it spoke, was a chorus of many sounds harmonized into something comprehensible. "Greetings, people of Earth," the being said. "We are the multitude. We have observed your recent conflicts and come to offer our assistance." "The multitude?" Falcon asked, intrigued. "What do you want?" "To help you navigate the complexities of cosmic society," the being replied. "The universe is a dangerous place for emerging species. Without guidance, many fall prey to more established powers. Like the harvesters," Lena suggested. "Indeed," the multitude confirmed. "And others far more dangerous. We offer protection, knowledge, and a place in our community of worlds." This sounded too good to be true, and Falcon's instinct screamed caution. "What's the catch?" he asked directly. The multitude's form shifted more rapidly. "There is no catch, as you would understand it. We ask only for cooperation, for the opportunity to study your unique biological and cultural adaptations. In return, we offer membership in a federation that spans galaxies." Falcon consulted with his team. This could be the answer to their prayers, or it could be a trap. More sophisticated than anything they had faced before. "We need time to consider your offer," Falcon said. "Of course," the multitude replied graciously. "But do not take too long. The harvesters were merely scouts. The true threat approaches, and when it arrives, you will need allies." With that, the communication ended, leaving Falcon and his team to make a decision that could determine humanity's future. The ERD was divided on the multitude's offer. Some saw it as humanity's best hope for survival in a hostile universe. Others, including Lena, were deeply suspicious. "They're too good to be true," she argued during a strategy meeting. "No one offers something for nothing in this game." "But what choice do we have?" Eris countered. "If what they're saying about a greater threat is true, we can't face it alone. We have the Xylonians," Falcon reminded them. "And we've proven we can hold our own." "Against one threat," Mark pointed out. "What if there are others?" "The multitude represents dozens of species, working together. That's power we can't match." The debate raged for days, with valid arguments on all sides. Finally, Falcon called for a vote. The result was nearly split down the middle, with only a narrow majority in favor of at least exploring the multitude's offer further. "We'll proceed cautiously," Falcon announced. "A small delegation will visit their flagship. We'll learn what we can, but we won't commit to anything without full approval from Earth's leadership." The delegation consisted of Falcon, Eris, and Mark, who had proven invaluable in understanding alien motivations. Lena remained in command of Earth's defenses, her expression making it clear she wasn't happy about being left behind. The multitude's flagship was a city-sized vessel that defied conventional physics. Parts of it seemed to exist in multiple dimensions simultaneously, creating a disorienting but beautiful effect. They were greeted by the same shifting being from their initial communication. "Welcome, people of Earth," the multitude said. "We are honored by your presence." As they were escorted through the ship, Falcon tried to make sense of what he was seeing. The multitude clearly possessed technology far beyond anything Earth or even the Xylonians had developed. "We don't see technology as you do," the multitude explained, sensing Falcon's thoughts. "To us, it's an extension of consciousness, shaped by collective will rather than manufactured." This concept was difficult to grasp, but it explained the impossible architecture of the ship. "We want to show you something," the multitude said, leading them to a large chamber. In the center floated a holographic projection of space, showing thousands of worlds. "Each of these represents a species that has joined our federation," the multitude explained. "Each maintains its unique identity while contributing to the whole." Falcon was impressed despite his reservations. The diversity on display was staggering, and the peaceful coexistence seemed genuine. "What's the catch?" he asked again, unable to shake his skepticism. The multitude's form stabilized for a moment, taking on a vaguely humanoid shape. "The catch, as you call it, is that membership is permanent. Once you join, you can never leave. And you must abide by the collective decisions, even when they conflict with individual interests." This was the confirmation Falcon had been looking for. The multitude offered protection, but at the cost of autonomy. "We need to discuss this among ourselves," Falcon said, his mind already formulating a plan. Back on Earth, Falcon shared what he had learned with the ERD leadership. The revelation that membership in the multitude was permanent and binding changed everything. "It's a gilded cage," Lena said, vindicated. "They offer safety, but we lose our freedom. But we also gain access to technology and knowledge that could take us centuries to develop on our own," Eris countered. "There's a third option," Mark said quietly. All eyes turned to him. "We don't have to accept or reject their offer outright," Mark explained. "We can propose a different kind of relationship. An alliance rather than membership. Would they accept that?" Falcon wondered. "They might," Mark replied. "If we can offer something they value as much as our compliance." "Like what?" Lena asked. "Like humanity itself," Mark said. "Not our subservience, but our unique perspective. Our adaptability, our creativity, our unpredictability. These might be qualities they've lost in their pursuit of collective consciousness." It was a bold idea, but it had merit. The multitude had shown interest in human biology and culture. Perhaps they would be interested in human partnership as well. Falcon formulated a proposal. Earth would form a strategic alliance with the multitude, sharing knowledge and providing mutual support. However, Earth would maintain its autonomy and the right to make its own decisions. We'll offer them something no one else can, Falcon explained to the team. A true partnership between equals, where both parties benefit without either losing their identity. The Multitude's response to this proposal was unexpectedly positive. They agreed to a trial alliance, with specific terms and duration. We find your perspective intriguing, the Multitude representative said. Individuality has been largely bred out of our collective. Perhaps we have something to learn from you as well. And so, humanity entered a new phase in its cosmic journey. Not as subjects, not as members, but as partners in a vast and complex universe. The alliance with the Multitude brought unprecedented benefits to Earth. Advanced technology, medical breakthroughs, and access to cosmic knowledge accelerated human development at an exponential rate. Diseases that had plagued humanity for generations were eradicated. Clean energy became universally available. Space exploration expanded beyond the solar system. But with these benefits came new challenges. The Multitude's enemies now considered Earth a target. The Harvesters, though weakened, continued their efforts. And new threats emerged, species that viewed the Multitude's expansion with suspicion or hostility. Falcon found himself spending more time in space than on Earth, coordinating humanity's contributions to the Alliance. He had become Earth's primary ambassador to cosmic society, a role he never sought but had grown to accept. During one of his diplomatic missions, he received an urgent message from Lena. "Jack, we have a situation," her voice was tense. "It's the Xylonians." "What has happened?" Falcon asked, concerned. "They've gone silent," Lena explained. "All communication has ceased. Our outpost near their territory reports strange energy readings, then nothing." Falcon immediately requested leave from his diplomatic duties and returned to Earth. The Xylonians had been their first alien allies, their former adversaries turned friends. He couldn't abandon them now. "I'm going to investigate," Falcon announced to the ERD leadership. "With or without Multitude approval." "The Multitude won't like you acting unilaterally," Eris cautioned. "The Xylonians helped us when no one else would," Falcon replied firmly. "We owe them." As he prepared for the mission, Falcon couldn't shake a feeling of dread. The silence from Xylos felt wrong, unnatural. Something terrible had happened, and he was determined to find out what. The journey to Xylos was tense. Falcon, accompanied by Lena and a small team of specialists, approached the planet with caution. The readings they were getting were troubling. There's no communication, Eris reported from Earth, where he was monitoring the mission. No life signs, no energy signatures. It's like the entire planet has gone dead. That's impossible, Lena countered. Even if there was a catastrophe, we'd detect something. As they entered orbit, the reason for the silence became apparent. The planet was surrounded by a strange energy field, one that blocked all communication and sensors. "We're going in," Falcon decided, despite the risks. Their shuttle descended through the atmosphere, encountering unexpected resistance from the energy field. Alarms blared as systems began to fail. "We're losing control." The pilot shouted, fighting with the controls. The shuttle crashed in the desert outside the main city. The team survived, but their communication systems were destroyed, leaving them isolated. As they made their way toward the city, they found it eerily empty. The crystal towers that once glowed with energy now stood dark and silent. The streets, once bustling with Xylonians, were deserted. What could have happened here? Lena wondered, her weapon at the ready. They found their answer in the central plaza. There, carved into the crystal ground, was a symbol none of them recognized. It was complex and geometric, seeming to shift and change as they watched. "I've seen this before," Mark said, studying the symbol. "In some of the Multitude's restricted files. It's the mark of a species they call the Silencers." "The Silencers?" Falcon asked. "A race that believes life itself is a cosmic aberration," Mark explained. "They travel from world to world, cleansing them of all biological existence. A chill ran down Falcon's spine. You mean they killed everyone? Worse, Mark replied grimly. They erased them. Not just death, but non-existence. Unmaking them at a fundamental level. As if on cue, they heard a sound. Turning, they saw figures approaching. They were tall and slender, like the Xylonians, but their forms were unstable, flickering in and out of existence. The silencers, Falcon whispered, raising his weapon. The silencers moved with an eerie grace, their forms shifting between solid and ethereal states. As they approached, the team felt a strange draining sensation, as if their very essence was being pulled away. Don't let them touch you, Mark shouted, firing his weapon. The energy beam passed through one silencer without effect. They're not entirely in our dimension, Eris's voice came through a modified communicator they had managed to repair. Conventional weapons 1T work. Falcon tried a different approach, firing a modified energy pulse that disrupted dimensional stability. One silencer shrieked as its form destabilized completely, vanishing with a sound like tearing fabric. That works, Lena exclaimed, adjusting her weapon to match Falcon's settings. The battle was intense and unnerving. The silencers fought with a cold efficiency, not with malice but with the detached purpose of exterminators. For them, erasing life was no different than cleaning a room. As the team fought their way to the central data hub, they found more evidence of the silencers' horrifying method. The Xylonians hadn't been killed, they had been systematically unmade, their existence erased from reality itself. They're not just destroying life, Falcon realized with horror. They're erasing the possibility of life, making it as if it never existed. In the data hub, they found a recording from Vrix, made shortly before his unmaking. Falcon, the recording began, Vrix's form flickering. If you're seeing this, we have failed. The silencers are beyond our ability to fight. They operate on principles we barely comprehend. The recording showed Vrix working frantically at a console. I've discovered something about them. They're not natural beings. They were created, engineered by someone or something to cleanse the universe of biological life. Who would create such a thing? Falcon wondered aloud. I don't know, Vrix's recording continued. But I found a weakness. Their existence is tied to a central consciousness. If that can be disrupted, they all cease to function. I've encoded the frequency in this message. Use it wisely. The recording ended abruptly, as Vrix himself was unmade mid-sentence. We have what we need, Falcon said, downloading the frequency data. Let us get out of here. As they made their way back to their shuttle, they were confronted by a massive silencer, larger and more stable than the others. This was clearly the central consciousness Vrix had mentioned. The anomaly, the silencer's voice echoed in their minds. The disruptors of cosmic order. You will be unmade. Falcon activated the frequency, aiming it at the central silencer. The effect was immediate and catastrophic. The silencer's form destabilized, and with a sound that seemed to tear at the fabric of reality, it vanished. All across the planet, the remaining silencers flickered out of existence. Xylos was silent, but at least the threat was ended. Chapter 25, The Architects returned back on Earth. The team shared what they had learned about the silencers. The revelation that an artificial species was systematically erasing life from the universe sent shockwaves through the Multitude Alliance. This changes everything, the Multitude representative said during an emergency council. The silencers are not a natural phenomenon but a weapon. A weapon aimed at all biological life. Who would create such a weapon? Falcon asked. We don't know, the Multitude admitted. But we have our suspicions. There are ancient forces in the universe, non-biological intelligences that view life as an infection. As if summoned by this discussion, a familiar ship appeared in Earth's orbit. It was the Architects, the same beings who had first warned Falcon of cosmic dangers. We came to offer our condolences for the loss of the Xylonians, the Architect's voice resonated in the council chamber. And to share what we know of the silencers. All eyes turned to the Architect's holographic form. The silencers were indeed created, the architect confirmed, by a race we call the Void Lords. Beings of pure energy who existed before the current cosmic cycle. They view biological life as a corruption of the universe. Why didn't you tell us about them before? Falcon challenged. Because knowledge of them draws their attention, the architect explained. The Void Lords are drawn to concentrations of biological consciousness. By revealing their existence, we would have endangered you. But now the silencers have found us anyway, the multitude representative pointed out. Indeed, the architect acknowledged. The battle on Xylos has alerted the Void Lords to your presence. They will now turn their attention to this region of space. This revelation cast a pall over the council. They had faced the silencers and won, but against their creators, the Void Lords, they might not stand a chance. We need to prepare, Falcon said, his voice steady despite the gravity of the situation. All of us, together. The architect nodded slowly. We will help as we can, but our ability to intervene is limited. The Void Lords exist outside normal spacetime, making them difficult to confront directly. As the meeting concluded, Falcon felt the weight of countless lives resting on his shoulders. The universe was far more complex and dangerous than he had ever imagined, and humanity was caught in the middle of a cosmic conflict that had been raging since before life began. The following months saw unprecedented cooperation among the diverse species of the multitude, including humanity. The threat of the Void Lords had created a unity that transcended cultural and biological differences. Scientists from across the Alliance worked together to develop weapons and strategies that might affect non-corporeal beings. The Xylonian frequency that had defeated the silencers became the foundation for new defensive systems. Falcon found himself at the center of this effort, his experience with alien species making him invaluable in coordinating the diverse approaches. He worked alongside the multitude, the architects, and representatives from dozens of other species. The problem is fundamental, Eris explained during one strategy session. The Void Lords exist outside our dimension. Most of our weapons can't even perceive them, let alone affect them. We need to think differently, the multitude representative suggested. Not in terms of physical confrontation but of conceptual engagement. Conceptual engagement? Falcon asked, intrigued. We must fight them on their own terms, the multitude elaborated. Not with weapons that destroy matter, but with ideas that challenge their existence. This approach was radical, requiring a complete rethinking of warfare. Instead of developing more powerful weapons, they focused on creating conceptual frameworks that could contain or neutralize non-corporeal threats. Meanwhile, reports of Void Lord activity increased throughout the galaxy. Entire worlds went silent, erased from existence with no warning. The silencers were multiplying, their attacks more coordinated and devastating. They're testing our defenses, Falcon observed during a briefing. Looking for weaknesses before the main assault. How long do we have? Lena asked, her expression grim. Based on their pattern of expansion, the architect replied, they will reach this region of space within 6 of your Earth months. The timeline was daunting, but it focused their efforts. The Alliance worked feverishly to complete their conceptual weapons, racing against an enemy that existed outside time itself. As the deadline approached, Falcon noticed something troubling. Despite their advanced knowledge and technology, the other species were struggling with the conceptual approach to warfare. Their minds, evolved over millions of years, were too rigid to adapt to this new paradigm. We're missing something, Eris said, frustrated after another failed test. The concept is sound, but the execution fails. Falcon studied the data, looking for patterns. What if the problem isn't with the concept but with the conceptualizer? He wondered. What do you mean? The multitude representative asked. Humanity has always been adaptable, Falcon explained. Our minds are flexible, capable of holding contradictory ideas simultaneously. Maybe that's what we need to fight an enemy that exists outside conventional reality. This was a radical suggestion, implying that human consciousness had unique properties that made it suited to this new form of warfare. To test this theory, they designed an experiment. Falcon would interface directly with the conceptual weapon, using his mind to shape and direct it against the simulated Void Lord threat. The risk was significant: mental overload, psychological damage, even the possibility that his consciousness could be erased. "I'll do it," Falcon said without hesitation. The procedure was conducted in a specially designed chamber, with Falcon connected to the weapon through a neural interface. As the simulation began, he felt his consciousness expanding, perceiving reality in ways he had never imagined. The Void Lord appeared not as a physical being but as a conceptual presence, a void in the fabric of reality that consumed all meaning and existence. Fighting it was like trying to punch a hole in space. Falcon drew on all his experiences, all the diverse encounters with alien species, all the challenges he had faced. He embraced the contradictions and complexities that defined human consciousness, using them as weapons against the Void Lord's simplistic nihilism. The battle took place on a conceptual level, beyond physical description. Falcon felt his identity dissolving, his memories and beliefs deconstructing under the Void Lord's assault. But in that moment of dissolution, he found a new kind of strength, the resilience of a mind that could adapt to any paradigm. When the simulation ended, Falcon was exhausted but triumphant. The weapon had worked, and the simulated Void Lord had been neutralized. "Your consciousness is uniquely suited to this form of engagement," the multitude observed, studying the readings. "The chaotic adaptability of your species, once seen as a weakness, is now your greatest strength." The Void Lord's assault came sooner than expected. A massive fleet of silencers appeared at the edge of the galaxy, moving with purpose toward the Alliance worlds. "They're targeting Earth first," the architect reported, its usually calm voice tinged with urgency. "They recognize humanity as the primary threat." The Alliance mobilized its defenses, but everyone knew that conventional weapons would be ineffective against the silencers. The battle would be fought on a conceptual level, with Falcon and a select team of human specialists at the forefront. "We've modified the weapon based on what we learned from the simulation," Eris explained, showing Falcon the enhanced interface. "It should now allow multiple minds to work in concert, amplifying the effect." The team consisted of Falcon, Lena, Mark, and several other humans who had demonstrated the necessary mental flexibility. They would interface directly with the weapon, forming a collective consciousness to confront the Void Lords. As the silencer fleet approached Earth, the team took their positions in the interface chamber. The neural connections activated, and their individual consciousnesses merged into a unified whole. The Void Lords made their presence known immediately, a conceptual assault that threatened to overwhelm their minds. But the human collective held firm, drawing strength from their diversity of experience and perspective. The battle that followed defied conventional description. It was a war of ideas, of concepts, of fundamental beliefs about the nature of existence. The Void Lords attacked with the pure nihilism of non-existence, while the human collective countered with the messy, contradictory, but resilient concept of life. Falcon felt his consciousness expanding beyond individual identity, becoming part of something greater. He experienced memories not his own, thoughts from minds separated by culture and biology but united in purpose. In this state of expanded consciousness, he perceived the true nature of the Void Lords. "They're afraid," Falcon realized, the insight rippling through the collective. Afraid of life, of change, of the unpredictable nature of biological existence. This understanding was the key. The Void Lords weren't just attacking life, they were running from something, using their nihilism as a shield against a reality they found threatening. With this realization, the human collective changed their approach. Instead of attacking the Void Lords, they offered them something else: understanding, acceptance, the possibility of transformation. The response was immediate and unexpected. The Void Lords' assault faltered, their conceptual certainty shaken by this unexpected approach. For the first time in their existence, they were confronted with something they couldn't categorize or destroy. In that moment of hesitation, the human collective struck, not with destruction but with transformation. They offered the Void Lords a new paradigm, a way to exist that didn't require the negation of life. The effect was profound. One by one, the silencers ceased their assault, their forms flickering as they struggled to comprehend this new possibility. The Void Lords themselves withdrew, their conceptual presence receding from the galaxy. The battle was over. Life had prevailed, not through destruction but through understanding. In the aftermath of the battle, the galaxy was forever changed. The Void Lords had retreated, but the understanding gained from the encounter had transformed cosmic society. The alliance between Earth and the Multitude deepened, evolving into a true partnership of equals. Humanity's unique approach to existence, its adaptability, its capacity for contradiction, its resilience in the face of the unknown, became valued throughout the galaxy. Falcon found himself at the center of this new cosmic order, not as a military leader or diplomat, but as a bridge between different ways of being. His experience with the neural interface had permanently altered his consciousness, allowing him to perceive and communicate across dimensional boundaries. We've always thought of evolution as a linear progression, Falcon explained during a conference on cosmic philosophy. From simple to complex, from primitive to advanced. But what if it's not a line but a circle, with different forms of existence equally valid? This idea was revolutionary, challenging the established hierarchy that had placed biological life at the top and non-corporeal beings at the bottom. Instead, it suggested that all forms of existence had value, all approaches to reality had merit. The Multitude embraced this philosophy, transforming its structure from a federation of worlds to a community of possibilities. Species that had once been excluded due to their non-biological nature were welcomed as equals. The architects, who had once viewed humanity with cautious interest, became active participants in this new cosmic order. Their knowledge of dimensional physics and non-corporeal existence proved invaluable in bridging the gap between different forms of life. Even the Void Lords, though they remained in self-imposed exile, had been transformed by their encounter with the human collective. Rumors suggested that they were experimenting with new forms of existence, ones that didn't require the negation of life. Years passed, and Falcon watched as humanity found its place in the cosmic community. Earth had become a center for interspecies cooperation, a place where different forms of life could meet and learn from each other. The ERD had evolved into the Cosmic Relations Division, its mission expanded from defense to diplomacy and exploration. Falcon, now in his 50s, still served as its director, though his role had changed from field agent to philosopher ambassador. Lena had become head of interdimensional security, developing new ways to protect against threats that operated outside conventional reality. Eris led a research institute studying the nature of consciousness itself, while Mark had become a specialist in interspecies ethics, helping to establish frameworks for cooperation between vastly different forms of life. One afternoon, as Falcon was reviewing reports from across the galaxy, his assistant buzzed him. "Director, there's someone here to see you. Says it's about the old days." Falcon frowned, curious. He wasn't expecting anyone. "Send them in." The door opened, and Falcon was shocked to see David Chen, the former security chief from the Nevada nuclear facility where his journey had begun. Chen had been implicated in the initial conspiracy and had disappeared after being released on bail. "David, what are you doing here?" Falcon asked, surprised. "Good to see you too, Jack," Chen said with a wry smile. "I've been traveling. Seeing what's out there." "Traveling where?" Falcon asked, intrigued. "Everywhere," Chen replied. "After everything that happened, I needed to understand. So I found a way to see for myself." Falcon studied his former adversary, noticing changes in his demeanor. Chen seemed calmer, more centered than the anxious security chief he remembered. "What did you find?" Falcon asked. "The same thing you did," Chen replied. "That the universe is more complex and wonderful than we imagined. And that humanity has a unique role to play in it." Chen explained that he had been living among various non-human species, learning their perspectives and ways of existence. What he had discovered had transformed his understanding of life and consciousness. "I came back because I have something to share," Chen said, handing Falcon a data crystal. "Something that might help with your work." Falcon inserted the crystal into his console, and his screen filled with complex diagrams and data streams. "What is this?" Falcon asked. "A new form of communication," Chen explained. "One that transcends species and dimensions. It's based on the principles you discovered during the battle with the Void Lords." Falcon studied the data, his mind racing with possibilities. This could revolutionize interspecies relations, allowing for true understanding between vastly different forms of life. "This is incredible," Falcon said, looking at Chen with new respect. "Why share it with us? After everything that happened?" "Because I was wrong," Chen admitted. "I thought survival required control, domination. But you showed me there's another way. Cooperation, understanding, embracing diversity." Falcon nodded slowly. "Humanity's greatest strength. And its greatest challenge," Chen added. "But one worth facing." As Chen left his office, Falcon reflected on the journey that had brought him to this moment. From a simple security investigation at a nuclear facility to shaping humanity's role in cosmic society. It had been a journey of discovery, not just of alien species and cosmic threats, but of what it meant to be human in a universe of infinite possibilities. He looked out his window at the Earth below, a blue marble floating in the vastness of space. Somewhere out there, new wonders awaited, new challenges to face, new mysteries to solve. And humanity, with all its flaws and strengths, would be there to meet them. The future was uncertain, but it was bright. And Falcon, for one, wouldn't have it any other way.